I'm Becky Dowd, and this is The Journey to Salvation. Join me as we walk alongside real people and hear the unique journeys that led them to faith in Jesus. Today, my guest is Sarah May Flowers. Hey, Sarah.
Hello.
So, May is your maiden name.
That's right.
Yes, we didn't want people to think your name was Sarah May.
That's right. That's right.
I bet you were called that a lot.
Yes,
Just both names.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep, Sarah May. No one ever called me Sarah. It was always Sarah May.
Yeah.
They thought it was my middle name, and I just went with it. It was easier.
Yeah. So, Sarah, you shared a little bit Sunday, part of your story in church, and that kind of is what prompted me to get you to tell your full story here, because I think there's so many things that you said that will reach someone or help someone or encourage someone. Yeah. And so can you just start at the beginning? Tell us how it was growing up for you.
Yes.
And where you grew up.
Yes. So I was born in Forest City. That's where I'm from. I grew up there. I had good parents. My dad always told me who Jesus was. He always instilled in me the golden rule, which is, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So definitely my foundation of Jesus started back then. But I wasn't saved until I was 19. So my parents divorced when I was 7. And it really wasn't a great divorce. My dad, he had his struggles. My mom, she had her struggles. But overall, they were good to me. They loved me and did everything they could, to support me. So I'm so thankful for the parents that I have. My mom remarried to Lance. His name was Lance. And Lance and I did not get along. I was a big daddy's girl. And so when Lance came into our life, it was really difficult for me. But he didn't do anything wrong. I mean, he just tried to love me and discipline me, and my mom wanted him to discipline me, but I did not like that. So just immediately, I was very, disrespectful, disruptive. I just was a wild child from the get-go. I do think it had a lot to do with my parents' divorce, just going back and forth. And
because that was a hard age, 7 years old too.
Yes, it was. It was a very hard age. And like I said, I was switching weekends, and that was hard too. But I didn't really have a church background. After they divorced, we stopped going to church. I mean, I would visit with my aunt, and I did all the VBSs during the summer. I can't tell you how many times I got saved at VBS. But sorry, I'm trying to go as chronological as I can. So fast forward, as I'm growing up, me and my stepdad, Lance, we still just never meshed well. We had our moments, but overall it really wasn't a great relationship. But nothing on him. It was all on me. So we built a house in Wynn, and I don't remember what year that was, but I started high school in Wynn in 9th grade. And I was a wild child. I had this boyfriend, Lord, that my parents did not approve of. And, and I was young. I was 14. So, but, I was a wild child. I was very disrespectful to my parents. I did not have any respect for authority. And I just wanted it my way or the highway. And that was it. And that's basically how I lived all through my high school years, from 14 to 18, I think, was probably the worst of it. My mom can probably agree with that. But somewhere during that time, I met a friend. She's my best friend now. And her dad was a preacher. And I started visiting her church with her. But I mean, even in the beginning when I was doing this, it was like party all night, then wake up and go to church on Sunday. Like, it was a very hypocritical lifestyle. Just because I didn't understand, I didn't even know that I was being a hypocrite. I didn't even know that word, like the foundation of who Jesus was, I knew, but like, I didn't really know, if that makes sense. Until I reached a point in my life where I needed something. I needed something different. I couldn't do it anymore like that. I didn't want to be that person. So I had been going to church, and this little Pentecostal church in Palestine. And it was such a blessing to me. Those people there, they just took me in like I was their own. And basically there, I feel like the Lord led me there to teach me a foundation, like the rules, if that makes sense.
Do this, don't do this.
Yes, exactly. Like the do's and don'ts of how to be a Christian. And I needed that. And it was hard for me to accept. But I tried to do it in a way that was my own, like without the Lord. I can't remember I can't remember if my salvation came before or after this huge life event. But I had a best friend, and a lot of people that listen will probably remember who she was, but her name was Lindsay, and she was in a car accident. And she did not survive that car accident. I was supposed to be with her that night. So that was a huge, like, mercy and a huge wake up call, to me, like, you've got to get your life together, because at any given moment it could be over. And so, like I said, I cannot remember if that came right before or right after my salvation, but it was like within the month. And I just remember like going up to the altar, and it was just me and God. I mean, it was, nobody helped me. Like, it was just me and God, and it was raw and it was real. And I just cried out to him, and he saved me right there. I mean, I vividly remember him just being like, you're mine now. And that changed a lot for me. But like I previously mentioned, I was trying to do it on my own. I was just trying to follow the rules. I had never been a rule follower. So it was like, I wanted to pat myself on the back and be like, you did this. Like, I wanted to give myself the credit, for just trying to do it all. Obviously I was not able to do that. I can't do it by myself. None of us can. So I failed, and I failed, and I failed again, and kind of went back to my own ways, like drinking and doing things I shouldn't have been doing. And I don't know, fast forward several years. I mean, I would fail, but then I would try again and just try again. But I was still constantly trying to do it on my own.
Just to follow those rules.
Just to follow the rules. Yeah. That's all I wanted to do. Because like I said, I'd never been a rule follower. Always a rule breaker, never listening to anybody, just doing things my way. And finally I felt like I was doing what he wanted me to do, but I was still trying to control it, which is just not, it's unfathomable. I mean, you just can't. So fast forward several years, I started going to Wynn Baptist, and Dustin was my Sunday school teacher. And we were going over something, I don't remember exactly what, but I can remember him like on the whiteboard just breaking down the word legalism, which I had never heard before. And then I figured out that it was like an aha moment. That is when I realized like I was just following a set of rules, which, I mean, you know, he gives us those rules to follow, but through his guidance and his spirit, like we need the Holy Spirit to be able to do those things. And even with his spirit, you know, we're still going to fail. I mean, because it's just him who gets us through. But when he was going over all of that, I was just like, man, this is literally how I've been living for the last several years. No wonder I couldn't do it. And so even though that place that I was a huge blessing and like taught me all the ground rules I needed, the foundation that I needed, it really wasn't, it wasn't what he wanted me to see. So he finally revealed that to me. And that was when I think I was like 21 or so. Maybe 22. I'm not sure. Anyway, so my relationship with God changed then, but it was still just like a journey that I was going on. And then fast forward to 2018, that's when I met my husband. And when we got together, we were both in a bad place. Even though like I had, you know, started my relationship with the Lord back when I was 19 or so, it was just not, we were both in a bad place. But in 2019, Dustin planted the bridge. Mm-hmm. And we decided like, okay, if we're going to do this, if we're going to like be in a relationship with each other, like, and we love each other, like we need a foundation, and our foundation needs to be the Lord. So we thought, okay, this is a great, like fresh start. So we started attending the bridge. So we've been here since the very beginning. And the bridge has been a great thing for us, for our relationship with each other, for our relationship with Jesus. And in 2021, we got married in September of 2021. And then this is kind of where the biggest part of my testimony begins. So the week after we got married, my stepdad, who I told you about previously that we didn't get along, our relationship had drastically changed. And I know I've left a huge gap, but drastically changed. We became very close. Once I realized that all he wanted to do my whole life was love me and help me, you know, be the best version of myself. So we found out the week after we were married that my stepdad had stage 4 esophageal cancer. That was absolutely devastating. And we just kind of put our life on pause, like everything just revolved around my stepdad, and we were glad for that. I mean, we wouldn't have had it any other way. Immediately he started, like radiation treatments, and had surgery to remove it. And we thought there for a minute, like, oh, he's cancer free, you know, this is great. But unfortunately that was not the case. had gone undetected in his bones. And so at that point, we knew that it was going to end up being terminal. All the while, my husband and I were trying to conceive, and we were due to expect our first child. And in January of 2022, we had a miscarriage. That was our first miscarriage. And it really was devastating. Like, you hear that the first year of marriage is the hardest. And I mean, if it wasn't that, those are some seriously true words. Like, I didn't even think we were going to make it. I mean, if I'm just being honest, and he would probably tell you the same thing, but one night we just we didn't know how to handle that type of devastation and that type of loss together. We didn't know how to handle it separately, and we certainly didn't know how to handle it together. But one night we sat down and we just told each other, how we felt, and we brought the Lord into it. And it was only by his grace that we were able to overcome that. And then that was in January. So let's see, February, March, April. So in April, my brother had a hunting accident where he was shot. And all I remember is being at work and my husband calling me, which he doesn't talk very much. So when he called me, I was like, what is going on? So first thing in the morning, and he's just like, Brian has been shot. And I'll say Brian, everybody knows my brother. Brian has been shot. I don't have any details. And if anybody knows me, they know that my brother is my absolute best friend. We're 10 years and 1 day apart. And I mean, he has been the one steady male figure in my life since I can remember. Very, very close. So I was just like, oh my goodness, I've got to get to him. So I left. That time I was working in West Memphis. And I had just gotten to work, just gotten my patient out of her wheelchair and onto the floor. And so I was like, come on, girl, we got to get back up. So put her back in there and raced back to Forest City and picked up my husband, and we headed straight to Little Rock. We didn't have any information. Within a couple of hours, we were there, and he was stable. So that was good to know. But they tried to repair his leg where he had been shot. And actually, a couple of weeks later was sent home. Well, the incision came open and he started to bleed out at home. And in front of his kids, and luckily, well, not luckily, but by the grace of God, his hairdresser was there shaving him all up because he had just gotten home from the hospital. And he saved his life. And he ended up losing his leg. So that was an adjustment, for all of us, but mainly for him. But I say this, if it was going to happen to anybody, he was the one, because his outlook on life has not changed. He is still a go-getter. It has not slowed him down at all. But all of that, during that time, I was pregnant with our second pregnancy. And I don't know. It was just God's plan. I don't know if it was the stress or just what it was, but we ended up having another miscarriage. And that miscarriage happened the weekend before Mother's Day. And this was in 2022. And Mother's Day fell on May 15th that year. And that was obviously a very hard day for me and Cody. So we were at church that morning. It was a Sunday, and Dustin was preaching, and he said the words, people always say God won't give you more than you can handle, but he absolutely will give you more than you can handle because you were never meant to handle it. And those words changed my life. Like, it changed my outlook on everything, because forever I've always been one that wanted to control. And when I finally just like let go and let him control it, I had so much peace, so much peace. So immediately after that day, that sermon, I went to the altar and I just cried and I gave it to him. I gave him everything. I mean, I gave him my stepdad's cancer. I gave him my brother's accident. I gave him our miscarriages. And also during that time, my biological dad had a heart attack and had been diagnosed with 2 different forms of cancer. I mean, like, there was so much trauma and tragedy going on at that time. I just couldn't handle it anymore. And I was so happy to hear those words because I was tired of carrying it. I was tired of trying to handle it myself. And so when I gave it to God that day, I did not pick it back up. And I had so much peace. And that was, like I said, a week after my second miscarriage. And then I found out, I don't know, a few weeks later that I was expecting again. And I went to my first doctor's appointment, and the doctor said, well, it looks like you conceived around May 15th. And I know that lady thought I was crazy because I swear, Miss Becky, I just raised my hands and I started praising God because there was no way that was even possible. Like, that was all God. That was all God. I know that lady thought I was crazy. But I just, looking back on it now, I'm just like, I can't believe what he does for us when we don't deserve it. And like, if we'll just let go and let him control like he's meant to, what he can do is just immeasurable. I mean, it really is. So I was able to tell my stepdad that we were expecting, and he was so excited about it. And his middle name was Alan. So even before I was pregnant with Drake, I don't know if you ever did this, but we will, sometimes put baby names, in our phone, like, oh, we hear that, we like it. So I did that. And we were going over it one day, me and my stepdad, I don't really know why, but, he said, well, I think if you ever have a boy, you should name him Drake Allen. And I was like, man, I don't hate that, And so anyway, fast forward, now we have Drake Allen. And he carries my stepdad's name, and that's really special to me. And my stepdad, he did end up passing away on June 30th. So tomorrow it will be 4 years. And we miss him every day, but one of the mercies in that was he was kind of a tough man. If anybody knew Lance, they would say that he was a tough man. He was one of those guys who had like a tough outer shell that you really had to hammer away at to get to the soft side. But it was in there. And so when he was sick, we got to talk a lot about his salvation, and we got to talk about Jesus. And now I know exactly where he is, and I know that he is there and he's rejoicing. And so that brings me joy to know that we'll get to see him again one day.
Hey, Sarah, can you kind of talk about, you were talking about before, you were just kind of trying to follow all the rules and do all those things all the do's and don'ts of supposedly religion. I've got that in quotations, but can you kind of explain how that is different than now your walk with the Lord and your relationship with the Lord?
Yes. So like I previously mentioned, I feel like I needed that foundation of the do's and the don'ts because I really didn't have that growing up. So I definitely feel like that was necessary. But once I fully surrendered all the tragedy and the loss that was surrounding me in that time of my life, I felt just like an immense peace. And then I realized it's not just the big things that he wants you to surrender. It's the small things, like you're broken down on the side of the road. Like, Lord, only you can fix this. I mean, he wants every part of us. He wants the good, the bad, and the ugly. He wants the small and he wants the big. And I feel like once you surrender fully to him and understand and grasp that nothing is too small or too big for him, that it just completely changes your walk with him. So, I mean, every day I wake up, or it might be lunchtime before I remember to pray, if I'm being honest. I mean, I'm not the perfect Christian whatsoever. There is no such thing. But
well, we need to say, too, that you have a baby. Other than Drake, you have a baby, Audrey.
Yes, I do have Audrey.
And how old is Audrey?
Audrey is 11 weeks old.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're quite busy right now.
I am. I'm very busy. Her name is Audrey Ellen. So she is named after my mother, who I could not live without. She's got my kids right now. So thankful for Nana. But yes, I am. I'm very busy. But I want to be truthful and transparent, though. Like, right now, I seem to be walking in not really heavy, but an anxious time of my life. Like, I'm just very anxious. And I don't really understand it. I know that there's a reason for it. And I mean, I've just got to be honest, like I'm not in the Word as much as I should be. And I'm sure that has something to do with it. It's really a lot right now. It is. Navigating 2 children now instead of 1. And what that looks like is taking some attention off of Drake and now having to share it with his little sister, Audrey, has been a hard transition on him, but also been a hard transition on myself and Dad. And I don't know. I'm just in a season. I'm in a different season. But I know that the Lord's going to get me through it for sure. He always does. He always comes through and shows up and shows out. So, there's that. So I know, even though it's a weird season and I feel all of this anxiety, because of my relationship with Jesus, I'm able to just give it to him every morning. And I may not feel it that day, but I'll look back and I'll be like, man, I felt it. I feel his peace. I do, through every season. And I know that he'll continue to walk me through it.
And that's kind of what we spoke about right before we started. We have times in our life that we feel like we're not walking closely with him and that we left him behind, but we've never left him behind. He's always right there.
Yeah.
Even in those times that we feel like that we don't deserve him to be there with us, that we're distracted with everything else. But he's always right there waiting on us.
Yeah. Yes. Even when we aren't walking with him, he is always walking with us. Yes. Always, always. And I know that that's a huge mercy. We've been talking a lot about mercies at church, and I just see it every day.
How is your life different now that you did surrender your life to him? I know that's been years ago, compared to your life before you surrendered to him.
Well, before I surrendered to him, I wanted everything my way. Mm-hmm. Everything my way. And now I want everything his way. Like, I just look at the person that I used to be. And first of all, I can't believe I ever was that person. And I know that there are people out there that would feel the same way if they would just surrender their life. If he can do it with me, he can do it with anybody. He can change anybody's life. And my life now is every decision that I make is based off of WWJD. What would Jesus do? Or how would Jesus handle this situation? Because I want to be like him. And more so, I want my kids to be like him. My kids are everything to me. He has blessed me so much and given me the most wonderful husband and the most wonderful kids. And my job now is to parent them as he would have me to do so, to raise tiny disciples, just like he's raised a disciple in me. He wants me to do that for my children. And so that's my main goal. Is just to love Jesus and love my children like he would. That's really hard at times, but that's what I wake up in the morning and ask him is, I thank him, Lord, thank you for your mercy of today. Thank you for waking me up. Me and Drake, we say our prayers, me and Drake and Cody, and now Audrey, we say our prayers every night, and it just to give him that foundation. This is what it is. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for our family. Protect those that are sick. No, protect those that are lost and heal those that are sick. Forgive us of our sins, and we love you. Amen. And that's what Drake says every night. And I feel like that covers a multitude of things. Mm-hmm. Just giving him that foundation, and he loves it. Mm-hmm. He loves it. And that means more to me because I didn't grow up that way. And so that's my goal, is to raise them like I wasn't. I don't know. It's just. And
you sit on the front seat of the church every week.
I do. I do. I am a front row church goer for sure. And it's so funny because I'll invite people to church and I'll be like, but listen, I sit on the front row. So you can either sit on the front row or you can just come and, we'll find you somewhere else to sit. But they're all like, what? I do. But I was like that in school. Once this is going to throw us back some, but in high school, I did not apply myself. School was the last thing on my mind. I went to school to socialize. But when I got in college, which I was 24 when I started college, I was all in, and I'm one of those people. I'm either all or nothing. And so I even sat in the front row. I had to. I was in the front desk right in front of the teacher, always, because I'm too ADD.
No distractions.
No distractions. Yeah. No, I cannot have distractions or I won't get it.
Yes.
And I need to get it. it's a little bit more difficult now because Drake is making the transition from nursery to
Yes.
out in the big church with mom and daddy. So it's hard for me to take notes like I was before, but super thankful for Cody because he wrangles all the kids while I sit over there and write in my notebook. So,
And one thing about you, Sarah, too, is you're so good about, I know when people go to the front to pray, you're so good about being there with those, especially the ladies, being there praying with them, whatever they're praying for. And you do that there, but also you're very good about reaching out to others as you see them in struggles or hurting or in need of something. Hey, do you have a favorite Bible verse or one that you really lean into?
I do. My favorite Bible verse is Proverbs 3:6. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will keep your path straight. And that has been that way since I was saved, just because I remember a time when I didn't follow him and I didn't acknowledge him, and my path was all but straight. And now I may fail, but I fail forward. And I know that he is leading me in a straight path, and I know where I'm headed.
Thank you for joining us today. New episodes release every Wednesday, so be sure to subscribe and get notified when a new episode is available. You can listen on the Journey to Salvation website, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. So, where are you on your journey to salvation?